Your greatest battle is always within. It is not fought in public, not measured by applause, and not seen by anyone else. It happens in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It happens when you are alone with your thoughts, when your fears whisper louder than your dreams, when the temptation to give up feels stronger than your will to continue. That is where the real war begins, and that is where greatness is either born or buried. The world outside can challenge you, mock you, and even doubt you, but none of it can destroy you unless you allow the war within to be lost first. The voice that says you are not good enough, not strong enough, not ready enough, that voice is the true enemy. The power of your life depends on how you answer it. Every day you wake up, that inner voice waits for you. It knows your weaknesses. It knows your insecurities. It knows exactly when to speak to make you hesitate. And most people, without realizing it, live their entire lives obeying that voice. They call it logic, they call it safety, they call it being realistic. But it is not realism. It is fear disguised as wisdom. Fear wants you to stay comfortable, to avoid the unknown, to settle for less than what you are capable of. But comfort never built strength. Safety never built courage. The people who rise above mediocrity are not the ones who never hear fear. They are the ones who hear it and walk forward anyway. They silence the voice not by ignoring it, but by proving it wrong through action. Inside every person lives two versions of themselves, one that wants to grow and one that wants to remain the same. The one that wants to grow whispers, "You can," and the other shouts, "You can't." Most people listen to the louder voice. They listen because it is easier, because it demands nothing, because it allows them to stay comfortable in the same patterns. But growth is not born from comfort, it is born from struggle, from the decision to keep going when the easier path calls your name. The moment you choose growth, you begin to fight the real battle. The battle against doubt, laziness, distraction, and fear. No one can fight this for you. No one can carry your discipline, your faith, or your resilience. This is your war. And your victory will come from silence, not noise. You see, the world tells you to look outside for your enemies, but the truth is, the enemy that stops most people is invisible. It is the internal resistance that whispers, "Tomorrow." It is the hesitation that makes you delay your dreams for one more day. And one day becomes 1 year, 1 year becomes a lifetime, and before you know it, you are left wondering what could have been. That is how dreams die, not from lack of opportunity, but from the war that was never fought inside. If you can master your thoughts, you can master your life. If you can control your emotions, you can control your destiny. There will be moments when you feel lost, when the world's noise becomes too loud, when your own mind becomes a storm of confusion and fear. That is when silence becomes your greatest weapon. In silence, you begin to hear the truth. You begin to realize that most of your fears were illusions created by your imagination. You begin to see that peace is not found in control, but in acceptance. Silence is where clarity lives, where strength is rebuilt, and where you remember who you really are. The stronger you become within, the less the world outside can shake you. Do not underestimate the power of inner stillness. The person who has mastered their mind can walk through chaos and remain calm. They can be doubted, criticized, and even betrayed, yet their spirit remains steady, because they know the battle is not out there, it is in here. They understand that the true victory is not winning against others, but conquering themselves. The mind is both your greatest servant and your greatest master. If you let it control you, it will keep you small. If you train it, it will build empires. Every act of discipline strengthens your inner warrior. Every time you say no to distraction, every time you push through fatigue, every time you act in silence when others are watching and judging, you win another battle inside. The results may not appear immediately, but your inner foundation is being rebuilt brick by brick. Eventually, that inner strength becomes unbreakable, and once you are unbreakable inside, nothing outside can destroy you. Many people lose this battle because they spend their energy fighting others, comparing themselves, trying to prove something. But when you focus on others, you lose sight of yourself. You waste your energy on what you cannot control, instead of mastering what you can. The real measure of power is not how loudly you can argue, but how silently you can grow. While others are busy competing, the strong stay focused, silent, and consistent. They fight quietly within until their life itself becomes their proof. When you choose to win the war within, everything outside changes. You no longer need validation, because your peace becomes your proof. You no longer crave attention, because your results speak for you. You no longer fear failure, because you understand that every fall only strengthens your discipline. The greatest warriors in life are not the loudest. They are the calmest. Their power does not come from arrogance, but from understanding. They have conquered the only battlefield that truly matters, their own mind. So when you wake up tomorrow and that voice returns, whispering that you are not enough, remember this: it is not the voice that defines you, it is the decision you make afterward. You have the power to answer it with silence, with focus, with faith. The greatest victory you will ever achieve is not over others, but over the doubt that tries to live within you. When you win that battle, the world outside will bend to the strength of your inner peace. Silence is strength, not weakness. The world has taught us to believe that being loud is a sign of power, that speaking more means knowing more, that making noise means making progress. But true strength does not need to announce itself. It moves quietly, it grows in shadows, it builds foundations where no one is looking. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the presence of control. It is the discipline to restrain your emotions when your pride wants to speak, the wisdom to observe when others react, and the courage to wait when impatience burns within you. The strongest people are not the ones who shout the loudest, but the ones who can walk through storms without uttering a word, because they trust that their actions will one day speak for them. When you choose silence, you are not surrendering to weakness. You are mastering yourself. Silence protects your energy from being wasted on arguments that do not matter, on proving yourself to people who do not care, and on defending what time will eventually reveal. Every time you stay silent instead of reacting, you are training your mind to rise above ego. Ego wants to respond, to defend, to fight back. But purpose knows that every moment of energy spent explaining yourself to someone who has already made up their mind is energy stolen from your growth. Silence is not about avoiding confrontation, it is about choosing which battles are worth your voice. There is great wisdom in being still when others expect chaos from you. The world feeds on reactions, it thrives on drama, on conflict, on noise. But the person who can remain silent while the world demands noise holds a power few understand. That silence is magnetic, it confuses the arrogant, it frustrates the shallow, and it inspires the wise. Because silence cannot be manipulated, it cannot be debated, it cannot be defeated, it is a statement in itself. When you stay silent, you are saying, I am focused on what truly matters. I do not need to waste my peace to prove my strength. Silence also reveals who you are. In silence, you cannot hide behind words. You cannot pretend. You meet yourself without disguise. That is why most people fear silence. It exposes them. It forces them to confront their thoughts, their regrets, their truths. But those who learn to sit in silence, who learn to face their thoughts without running, become unshakable. They no longer need to seek validation because they have found peace within. They no longer chase noise because they have discovered clarity in quiet. Silence becomes their teacher, their shield, their strength. You must understand that silence does not mean doing nothing. Silence is not inactivity, it is intentional stillness. It is thinking before speaking, observing before acting, and understanding before judging. It is the ability to pause when emotions are high, to breathe before you decide, and to walk away when your peace is at stake. In a world where everyone rushes to speak first, the one who stays silent long enough to listen gains an advantage that noise can never give. They see what others miss. They feel what others ignore. They understand before they respond, and that understanding gives them power. There is also a deep kind of silence that comes from self-belief. When you truly believe in what you are building, you stop needing to talk about it. You stop announcing your plans, your dreams, your goals. You realize that energy is sacred, and words lose meaning when they are not supported by consistent action. So you stop talking and you start creating. You work in silence, you move in silence, you grow in silence, and one day your results make the sound that words never could. The loudest success stories were first built in complete silence. Every great leader, every master, every creator began by working quietly in the shadows until their work demanded attention. When you live in silence, you become deeply aware of your energy. You start to recognize what drains you and what nourishes you. You stop reacting to every opinion, because not every opinion deserves your peace. You stop chasing attention, because you realize attention is a distraction disguised as validation. You stop explaining yourself to those who have already judged you, because you know that silence will say what words cannot. Silence gives you power over yourself. It allows you to rise above the noise of gossip, doubt, and judgment. And when you rise above noise, you see further, clearer, deeper. But silence also demands patience. There will be moments when staying silent feels unfair, when people misunderstand you, when they speak against you, and you want to defend yourself. Yet that is the moment when your silence will test your strength. You must remind yourself that truth needs no defense, that time exposes everything, and that every word spoken in haste steals something from your dignity. Silence in those moments is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that revenge is temporary, but peace is permanent. There is a silent kind of confidence that no amount of noise can imitate. It is the confidence that comes from knowing you are doing the right thing, even if no one sees it. It is the quiet fire that burns inside when you choose patience over reaction, purpose over pride, focus over attention. Silence becomes your weapon, not because it hurts others, but because it protects you from yourself, from your impulses, your anger, your need to be understood by everyone. You learn that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your dreams, your emotions. Silence keeps them sacred. When you master silence, you no longer need to prove anything. You no longer crave approval, nor do you fear rejection. You understand that peace is more valuable than recognition. You begin to value your time, your focus, your emotional energy as treasures. You build quietly, you grow privately, you heal inwardly. And in time, the world will see the results of your silence, and they will call it strength. But you will know it was always silence that made you powerful. Silence that built your patience, silence that taught you discipline, silence that carried you through storms that words could never calm. Comparison destroys growth. It steals the light from your own path and blinds you with someone else's reflection. The moment you begin to measure your worth by what others have, you stop nurturing what is uniquely yours. You stop hearing your own voice because you are too busy listening to the noise of others. You stop walking your road because your eyes are fixed on theirs. The world teaches you to compete, to compare, to measure your progress by external standards, but the truth is that no two lives can ever be compared. Your path is your own, your pace is your own, your purpose is your own. The moment you realize that, you become free. Every time you look at someone else's success and feel less about yourself, you are giving away your power. You are telling your mind that their story is more valuable than yours. You are saying, what they have matters more than who I am. But their success has nothing to do with your potential. You cannot plant a seed and expect it to bloom faster by staring at another's garden. Growth does not come from comparison, it comes from focus. The flower that spends its life envying the tree never learns how beautiful it could have been if it had simply bloomed where it was planted. Comparison is a silent poison. It enters the mind slowly, disguising itself as motivation, but its real purpose is destruction. It tells you that you are behind, that you are not enough, that you should be further along. It makes you chase illusions, not purpose. It blinds you to the progress you are already making because it constantly whispers, look at them. You begin to feel unworthy not because you are failing, but because you are measuring success by someone else's scale. You begin to lose your peace, your gratitude, your self-respect. You lose the ability to appreciate your own journey because you are too busy wishing it looked like someone else's. The truth is, everyone's path is different. Some people bloom early, some bloom late. Some walk straight roads, others climb mountains. Some find success in their 20s, others in their 50s. The time it takes does not matter. What matters is that you keep walking, keep growing, keep becoming. The comparison between your timeline and someone else's is meaningless because you are not walking the same road. You do not carry the same burdens. You do not fight the same battles. You do not have the same purpose. Your only true competition is the person you were yesterday. When you stop comparing, you begin to notice the beauty in your own process. You begin to see how far you have come, not how far you have left to go. You begin to find pride in small victories that once went unnoticed. You start to realize that growth is not about speed. It is about consistency. The person who compares loses direction. The person who focuses gains momentum. Every step you take in silence, every moment you choose progress over envy, you are building a foundation for something that belongs only to you. And that is something no one can ever take away. It takes great discipline to stay focused on yourself in a world that constantly pushes comparison. Everywhere you look, people are showing only their best moments, their highlights, their triumphs. But what you do not see is their struggle, their doubt, their pain. You do not see the nights they spent crying, the failures they endured, the fears they faced. You are comparing your behind the scenes to their finished performance. And that comparison will always make you feel small because it is not real. Everyone fights a private battle. Everyone carries invisible weight. You must learn to honor your own struggle instead of diminishing it by measuring it against someone else's illusion. When you focus on others, you lose awareness of your own growth. You spend your time watching their steps while your own feet stop moving. You begin to live reactively, shaping your dreams around what others are doing instead of listening to what your heart is asking for. You forget that your power lies in authenticity. You were not born to imitate, you were born to create. And creation requires silence, solitude, and self-focus. The world does not need another version of someone else. It needs the best version of you. Letting go of comparison is not easy. It takes courage to stand alone, to trust your timing, to believe in your pace. But once you do, your mind begins to clear. You start to breathe easier because you are no longer racing against invisible opponents. You start to enjoy the journey because you are no longer chasing a finish line that was never meant for you. You begin to feel peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Gratitude becomes your greatest weapon against comparison. When you learn to look at your life and say, "This is mine and I am thankful," you cut off the power comparison once had over you. Gratitude turns envy into inspiration. It turns competition into compassion. You start celebrating others instead of resenting them. Their success becomes proof of what is possible, not a reminder of what you lack. And when you can genuinely feel happy for others while staying rooted in your own lane, you reach a level of maturity that few ever achieve. You were not meant to follow the path of another. You were meant to walk your own with unwavering faith. You were meant to learn, to fail, to rise, to grow at your own rhythm. Stop looking sideways. Your strength is forward. Stop waiting for validation. Your value is already written in your existence. The world will always try to distract you with noise, but the truth will always whisper in silence. Focus on your path. Because when you focus on yourself, when you stop comparing and start creating, you open the door to peace, power, and purpose. That is where real growth begins, when you no longer measure your worth by anyone else's shadow, but by the light that shines quietly from within you. Energy is currency. Spend it on yourself. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of energy, a sacred force that fuels your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your dreams. Yet most people spend this energy carelessly, pouring it into things that do not build them, into people who do not appreciate them, into worries that never lead to peace. They spend it gossiping, doubting, competing, defending, and reacting. And then they wonder why they feel empty at the end of the day. Energy is life. Where you place it determines what you create, who you become, and how you feel. When you waste your energy on others, you are giving away pieces of your strength that could have built the life you desire. You must learn to protect your energy like it is gold, because it is the most valuable currency you will ever possess. Money can be regained, time cannot, and energy once spent cannot be reclaimed. Every thought, every emotion, every reaction is an investment. You are either investing in your growth or feeding your destruction. When you constantly focus on others, on their opinions, their progress, their judgments, you are handing them your power for free. You are letting them control your emotional state, your peace, your purpose. That is why so many people feel drained, restless, and confused. They are trying to manage the energy of everyone else except their own. Focus that energy inward. Pour it into your mind, your health, your discipline, your vision. Every time you direct your energy toward yourself, you strengthen your foundation. You begin to build something stable, something no one else can touch. When you stop seeking validation, you stop bleeding energy. When you stop explaining yourself to people who do not understand your purpose, you save energy. When you stop reacting to negativity and instead move with calm, you store energy, and that energy becomes fuel, the invisible force that helps you wake up earlier, work harder, think clearer, and believe deeper. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not always the smartest or the luckiest. They are simply the ones who learned how to manage their energy. They do not waste it on arguments. They do not drain it chasing approval. They do not scatter it trying to please everyone. They conserve it, channel it, and use it intentionally. Every day they ask themselves, "Is this worth my energy?" Because they understand that whatever receives their focus will grow stronger. Whether it is fear or faith, doubt or discipline, chaos or clarity, energy flows where attention goes and life expands in that direction. You cannot create greatness from a tired soul. You cannot find clarity in a mind constantly reacting. That is why protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. It is how you stay aligned with your purpose. It is how you hear your intuition above the world's noise. It is how you continue to grow even when surrounded by distraction. There will always be people who misunderstand you, criticize you, or try to drain you. But the moment you realize that not every battle requires your energy, you reclaim your peace. Silence becomes your defense, focus becomes your weapon, and self-discipline becomes your protection. Start noticing where your energy leaks. Every complaint, every unnecessary argument, every hour spent scrolling through meaningless noise. These are leaks. They seem small, but together they leave you empty. Then you wonder why your motivation fades, why your clarity disappears, why your goals feel so distant. The truth is, you are not out of strength, you are out of focus. You have been investing your energy in the wrong places. The same energy you use to worry could be used to plan. The same energy you spend comparing could be used to create. The same energy you give to anger could be used to heal. You are powerful beyond measure, but only if you stop giving that power away. When you begin to spend energy on yourself, your world starts to shift. You begin to attract peace instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of exhaustion. You start to glow differently because your energy is no longer scattered, it is centered. People will notice the difference without you having to explain it. They will sense that your focus has changed, that you have stopped living for the eyes of others and started living for the voice within. That voice grows louder when you feed it energy through meditation, silence, learning, and discipline. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. There is a kind of movement that happens only in silence. The inner growth that builds unshakable power. Every time you pull your energy back from noise and give it to your soul, you are expanding internally. You may not see the results immediately, but inside you, something strong is forming: patience, resilience, faith. That is why isolation often precedes transformation. When life pulls you away from people and distractions, it is not punishing you, it is preparing you. It is teaching you to focus your energy inward so that when you return to the world, you do so with power instead of need. Energy is like water. It takes the shape of whatever container you pour it into. If you pour it into anger, your life will take the shape of bitterness. If you pour it into fear, your life will take the shape of hesitation. But if you pour it into growth, your life will take the shape of strength and peace. That is why you must be intentional every day. Ask yourself, is this thought worth my energy? Is this person adding peace or draining it? Is this habit feeding my future or starving it? Your answers will tell you where your power is leaking. There is nothing more powerful than a person who has learned where to place their energy. Such a person becomes calm in chaos, patient in delay, and unstoppable in purpose. They do not chase what distracts them, they attract what aligns with them. Their silence is not weakness, it is focus. Their detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. They have learned that protecting their energy is how they protect their dreams. So they guard it not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because when your energy belongs fully to you, no one else controls your peace, your pace, or your purpose. And that is where true power begins, not in noise, not in validation, but in the quiet mastery of your own energy. The loudest voice is often the emptiest. The world is full of noise, people talking, boasting, pretending, trying to prove who they are. Everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard, but few want to be understood. And fewer still understand that true strength has no need for attention. The ones who talk the most about success are often the ones who have yet to find it. The ones who constantly announce their plans rarely complete them. But the ones who move in silence, who stay focused and disciplined, who build without broadcasting, they are the ones whose results speak louder than any words ever could. The greatest power is quiet because it is certain. It does not need to convince. It does not need to impress. It simply exists unshakable and undeniable. There is a reason why storms make noise but calm seas run deep. Those who have truly mastered themselves do not need to prove anything. They have nothing to shout about because their presence speaks for them. You can feel it when they walk into a room. Their energy is steady, their eyes are calm, their confidence is quiet. That kind of power cannot be fake because it is not built on appearance, it is built on truth. Noise is a mask for emptiness. Those who lack direction often use volume to distract from their lack of substance. But no amount of talking can create the results that silence builds through consistency. The person who truly understands purpose does not waste energy explaining it to the world. They know that words can be doubted, twisted, or ignored, but results cannot. So they save their breath and let their work speak. They understand that attention is temporary, but mastery is eternal. They know that if they stay consistent, time will reveal everything that noise tries to hide. The loud will fade, the silent will rise. The loud will be forgotten, the silent will be remembered. Because while the world is busy talking, the silent are building. And when the time comes, what they have built cannot be ignored. When you talk too much about your goals, you release the energy that should be used to achieve them. Every time you speak of your plans prematurely, you give the mind a false sense of accomplishment. You start to feel as if you've already achieved something simply because you talked about it. That is the trap of noise. It tricks you into feeling progress without creating it. But silence protects your fire. When you keep your plans to yourself, your energy stays concentrated, your vision stays sacred. You feel the hunger, the urgency, the drive to make it real. You work not for applause, but for fulfillment. You move quietly, but every step you take is deliberate, every effort intentional, every moment meaningful. Noise seeks validation, silence seeks transformation. Noise wants recognition now, silence wants results later. Noise lives for the spotlight, silence works for the legacy. The difference between the loud and the silent is depth. Loud people want to be noticed, silent people want to be effective. Loud people crave approval, silent people crave mastery. One chases attention, the other attracts respect. The truth is, the most respected people in history were not those who shouted the loudest, but those who lived with purpose and discipline. Their silence was not weakness, it was wisdom. They knew that the world rewards proof, not promises. There is also a peace that only silence can bring. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you free yourself. You no longer live in the tension of expectation. You no longer feel the need to perform for others. You become grounded, steady, sure. You move with quiet confidence because you know who you are and where you're going. You do not chase validation because you no longer need it. You do not explain your worth because your actions reveal it. This is what it means to walk with inner power, to know that your light does not need to scream to be seen. Silence also teaches patience. The person who lives loudly wants everything quickly. They rush, they force, they demand. But growth does not respond to noise, it responds to discipline. You cannot rush a seed into a tree by shouting at it. It grows in silence, nourished by patience and consistency. The same is true for your goals. They need time. They need attention. They need your quiet persistence. The louder you become, the more distracted you are. But when you fall in love with the quiet process, when you learn to build in stillness, your success becomes inevitable. Because while others are talking, you are preparing. While others are showing off, you are sharpening your craft, and when your moment comes, it will be undeniable. Do not mistake silence for invisibility. You are not unseen, you are becoming. You are not ignored, you are incubating. There is strength in restraint, and there is beauty in the unseen work that no one claps for. Every late night, every early morning, every quiet sacrifice adds up. You may not see the results yet, but silence is the womb of greatness. Everything powerful grows quietly before it appears. The seed, the sunrise, the transformation, all of them happen in silence before they are revealed to the world. When you stay silent and focused, you also confuse those who expect you to react. They will try to provoke you, to question your worth, to challenge your peace. But your silence will frustrate them because silence cannot be controlled. It shows maturity, it shows mastery. When you refuse to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, you reclaim your energy. You tell the world, not through words but through presence, that you are not here to compete. You are here to evolve. True confidence does not shout, it whispers. It does not demand attention, it commands respect. It does not beg to be seen, it shines quietly from within. When your work speaks, you no longer have to. When your results speak, you no longer need validation. So keep building in silence. Keep focusing on your craft. Let others talk, boast, and chase attention. You stay quiet, disciplined, and consistent. Because when you finally rise, and you will rise, the noise will fall silent in awe. And the world will understand what silence had been building all along. Focus is the bridge between dream and reality. Every person carries within them a dream, a vision of who they could become and what their life could be. But dreams without focus fade into illusions. Focus is the invisible line that connects what you imagine with what you can create. Without it, your energy is scattered, your attention divided, your progress uncertain. The world is full of distractions, noise, opinions, comparisons, fears, and temptations. all pulling you in different directions. They whisper to you that you can do everything at once, but that is the greatest trap. When you chase everything, you catch nothing. Focus is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters most with complete devotion. It is about giving all of yourself to one thing until it becomes real. Most people never achieve what they want because they allow their attention to drift from one desire to another. They want success, but they spend their time on comfort. They want peace, but they feed chaos. They want growth, but they give their energy to distractions. They wonder why nothing changes, but they never realize that every small distraction steals a piece of their dream. Focus is the discipline of saying no. No to noise, no to unnecessary people, no to the impulses that try to break your rhythm. Every no you speak to distraction becomes a yes to your destiny. You have to understand that focus is not natural, it is trained. The human mind is wild and restless, always seeking stimulation, always running toward the next thing. To focus is to tame that restlessness, to bring your attention back to one single purpose again and again until it becomes your nature. It will not happen easily. You will have days when your mind wanders, when you feel impatient, when you doubt your path. But every time you pull yourself back to your goal, you grow stronger. Every time you resist the temptation to quit, your focus deepens. That is how mastery is built, not in moments of excitement, but in moments of quiet repetition when no one is watching. When you focus deeply, time slows down. You stop worrying about what others are doing. You stop fearing how long it will take. You stop craving results overnight. You become absorbed in the process. You begin to feel something powerful, clarity. Clarity is what happens when focus burns away confusion. You start seeing what is essential and what is not. You begin to notice that success is not about speed but direction. You realize that progress does not come from doing everything quickly, but from doing the right things consistently. When your focus sharpens, life stops feeling chaotic because everything you do has purpose behind it. There is magic in sustained focus. When you direct all your attention to one goal, the universe begins to align around it. People appear, opportunities arise, doors open, and what once seemed impossible begins to move toward you. This is not luck. It is the power of concentration. The mind creates what it focuses on. If you focus on fear, you attract hesitation. If you focus on doubt, you attract failure. But if you focus on your purpose with unwavering belief, you attract results that defy logic. You become like a magnet pulling your destiny closer with every focused thought, every disciplined action, every quiet moment of effort. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. The world will constantly try to pull you away, through comparison, through comfort, through noise. It will tempt you to divide your attention, to chase trends instead of purpose, to follow crowds instead of conviction. But the ones who achieve extraordinary things are the ones who refuse to be scattered. They are the ones who choose solitude over noise, patience over instant gratification, consistency over excitement. They know that every moment spent distracted is a moment stolen from their future. They understand that success is not about talent but about attention, and they guard that attention as their greatest treasure. Focus demands sacrifice. You cannot be everything, go everywhere, or please everyone if you want to fulfill your purpose. You must choose. You must decide what matters most and give it your full attention, even when it feels lonely, even when no one understands. There will be days when you feel unseen, when others seem to move faster, when your results seem slow. But remember, the greatest transformations happen quietly. The seed does not rush to sprout, it grows in silence. The diamond is not formed overnight, it endures pressure and darkness. The same is true for you. When you focus, you are building something solid beneath the surface. It may not be visible now, but one day, the results will speak so loudly that the world will have no choice but to notice. You must also protect your focus from your own mind. The mind will tell you to give up when progress feels slow. It will whisper that others are ahead of you. It will try to lure you back into comfort, but comfort is the graveyard of dreams. Focus requires that you silence that voice and remind yourself why you started. You have to keep your vision in front of you at all times. Write it, visualize it, breathe it. Let it become your compass. When you lose focus, return to that vision. When you feel weak, remember your purpose. When you are tempted to quit, remind yourself that every step you take in focus brings your dream closer to reality. Focus is love made visible, love for your purpose, love for your growth, love for your potential. You give your attention to what you love. So when you focus on yourself, you are not being selfish, you are honoring your future. Every moment you stay focused is a declaration to the universe that you believe in your dream, and that belief creates momentum. Eventually, what was once a fragile vision becomes a living reality. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is built one focused moment at a time. Each hour of discipline, each quiet sacrifice, each decision to stay on your path adds another plank to that bridge. And if you keep walking, if you keep your eyes on the destination, no matter how long it takes, you will cross it. You will look back and realize that everything you ever wanted was never far away. It was simply waiting for you to focus long enough to reach it.